Hi, I'm Janine Batters and you're listening to the BCG podcast. Today we're talking with Kate Finger, who is a Research and Extension Officer with the BCG. How are you going, Kate?
Great, thanks Janine.
Thanks for being with us for our second Meet the Team. Pretty exciting. So we're going to learn a little bit more about you today, Kate. Firstly, Kate, tell us a little bit about what you do at BCG.
Yeah, thanks Janine. So I've been here at BCG for a little bit over 4 years now, and I've worked on a wide variety of projects, anything from climate through to soil remediation practices, data farming, precision agriculture, herbicide work, new products coming to market, durum varieties, and the list goes on.
Kate's across everything.
Try to be.
She's always, every staff meeting, I'm doing this and I'm on this project, and just a jack of all trades, very, very, very knowledgeable. Kate, when I came to BCG, I was like, Kate's the climate. She knows her stuff. How did you get into climate?
Yeah, so actually when I first started at BCG, I thought I'd be more involved in the research trials team, but there was an opportunity that came up to take over some of the climate projects that we had here at BCG. So I jumped at that opportunity and really have enjoyed my experience with that space. So I guess growing up on a family farm, I have an understanding of how important climate is for farmers and how much it has an impact on the production. And I was really keen to learn more, not just the whole science behind things, what drives our climate, where the opportunities are. At certain times of year, we can actually take that weather and climate information and make more informed decisions from that, and where we can take that information and make on-farm decisions, and where sometimes of the year we just want to block that sort of climate information out, and we're just better off working with what we have and what we know at the time.
That's the information that you really deliver in the technical bulletin. We're so lucky to have Kate. She writes our technical bulletin climate section each week. She actually wrote the whole technical bulletin, the last edition, number 8. Some of the other projects that you're working on climate, there's Forewarned is for Armed and the Koala project.
Yeah, so Forewarned for Armed is a project that I've been working on now for a few years. Part of it is running a community of practice where we get a whole heap of industry experts from across Australia and across all the industries just to come together, brief everybody on what they've sort of been working on in the climate space, help each other solve problems, provide a networking opportunity. And that was all sort of developed up so that we could help inform the Bureau of Meteorology create these 5 new products that they've just recently released, which are on how we can better forecast extreme events. So if you get a chance, go onto the Bureau of Meteorology Outlooks page and have a look at those. There's some really great new tools out there that just present the same information in a little bit easier way to understand.
So obviously across a lot of projects, Kate, you studied a Masters of Ag at Melbourne Uni, is that right?
Yes, that's right, Janine.
So how did you get to thinking ag's for you?
Yeah, so I think, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I grew up on a family farm. My parents run an Angus cattle stud near Mansfield in the high country, and growing up since the day dot, being involved in the farm, the day-to-day activities, really enjoyed that experience. I guess going through schooling, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. At the time was toying with a whole range of other potential career pathways. So I took a very generic path at university, just launched straight into a science degree. And through that process, I got to find the areas that I was really interested in. And through that process, surprisingly, well, or maybe not surprisingly, that actually agriculture came out at the end, and specifically plants, plant science, and understanding all that can go with growing plants and how we can get the best potential out of them for both the livestock industry and the grain sector.
And do you think that plant science has come from your time on the farm, perhaps, of realising the importance of good pastures on farm?
Oh, definitely, Janine. My parents, particularly Mum, loves the animal health, animal genetics side of things, and I definitely, when we're going out there checking the stock, would probably be more interested in how the clover was performing, how the ryegrass is growing, what weeds do we need to kill. So, yeah, that probably has stemmed from there.
And do you think also then, just hearing that, do you think that your interest in Kate's actually doing a data farming research project at the moment, and she's also really interested in the hands-on precision ag training, that data side of agriculture. Do you think that stemmed from that time with your mum with genetics and looking really closely at data?
Oh, yeah, I definitely think so. Having a stud, it's very important to capture data on each of the individual animals throughout their growth stage, and I could really see the benefit from the information that we're capturing and how it was really informing our decisions and reaching the potential of not just that animal, but then the flow-on effects it would have to our clients. And would like to think that there's similar opportunities here in the grains industry as well to make use of the data that we are capturing or what we could potentially be capturing and how that could help inform better decisions on farm.
Yep, I think you're the right girl for the job. Now, Kate, it sounds to me like I know you have your stud stool in Mansfield, the family farm. So hearing what you're talking about, I feel like you'd still be quite involved in the family farm. Do you get back there much?
I get back there when I can. It's usually probably maybe 4 times a year. And yeah, I do still have a keen interest in what's going on. And part of that process is we actually have regular family meetings just to catch up on what's going on, see how the budget's tracking, are there any opportunities or challenges coming up in the next quarter. We discuss what future plans are as well beyond that quarter or year. We look to the 5-year plan, where we want to see things going. Are there any major updates from the key stakeholders in our business as to whether we're still on track?
Sounds like it's pretty in depth. So who's on your farm?
Yeah, so it's my parents, mum, dad, and my younger brother's also there on the farm.
So you come back, you have these meetings. What's your role in those meetings? Is everyone got an equal say? How do they work?
Yeah, so we set an agenda, go through the key topic areas. The people who are involved in those parts present the case, and then there's always an opportunity for everyone to have their say, voice their opinion, and we work on, if it's something that needs a decision, a bit of like a majority sort of rules. But you've really got to present your case if you're trying to pitch towards, say, getting a new tractor. Well, we need the pros and cons list, and yes, this is what we're going to do or not do.
And so do you have a facilitator, or is it just your family?
We all get along pretty well, so we can run most of those meetings ourselves. Occasionally, we get an external person to come in if we want expert advice in, say, a certain area. So sometimes we have a financial consultant who comes in closer to budgeting or end of financial year time, or when we're setting our budget for the new year, just to have that external lens to make sure that we're tracking the right direction.
Sounds like you're pretty organised. So the next question I've got for you is, what about succession planning?
We have spoken about succession planning probably for the last 10 years now. Mum was, very conscious to be onto it early. I think she'd heard a few horror stories, and for her it was quite a simple process because she was an only child taking over the cattle stud from my grandparents. But knowing that there was the 2 of us, I think she was very keen to have things set in place. And there's also a few family health issues that has accelerated that process. We've got a very flexible, fluid plan that we review every now and again just to check in with how things are going and change, because my brother and I are still quite young and mum and dad are still quite involved in the farm. So
what do you mean by flexible and fluid?
So we haven't got hard deadlines as to when certain people will take over. There's a slow transition of knowledge occurring for those that are very interested and more hands-on in the farm. And as our individual careers are progressing, so my brother has in more recent times gone back and doing more of the work on the land, and obviously here working at BCG, and we're still sort of nutting out or how that's going to look in the future and what the different roles are at this stage. But we've got a few things on paper. Yeah,
fantastic. So you're well on track by the sounds of it. Your mum's on the ball, I think. Yep. Kate, what is the best advice you've been given?
Best advice I've been given probably has to come from my mum, and that was when I was in late high school and not really knowing what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go. And she said to me that take any opportunity that comes your way. It might not necessarily be where you think you want to end up in the longer term, or you might go, oh, that doesn't seem like it's for me. But if you don't take those opportunities, you just never know where they could lead.
So I'm hearing that and I'm thinking, Kate, do you think that you used that advice when you came to BCG?
In the time that I have since leaving high school, I definitely think I've taken on that mindset of seizing every opportunity that comes your way. After finishing university, applied for a role with Agriculture Victoria as a graduate research agronomist. I jumped at that opportunity when it was presented to me. And in that process, we also got to sort of, if we wanted to, choose which rainfall zone we got allocated. I remember at the time that I was like, oh, let's just see where life takes us, how this journey goes, and we won't designate ourselves to a particular rainfall zone, even though people listening now probably think high rainfall zone would seem the most appropriate. Anyway, I didn't say no when I was approached to take the low rainfall zone region. So I ended up based in Mildura with Audrey Delhunty up there at Agriculture Victoria. And I had some placements with AgriVision in Swan Hill and BCG in Birchip. And well, I guess the rest is history. After that program, enjoyed my time so much here at BCG, and there was just happened to be a job opportunity that came up, and I seized that.
Well, we're very lucky that you did. We're so lucky to have Kate at BCG. Now, Kate, what might be something that people are surprised to learn about you?
Well, if you've ever gone out to a meal at the pub with me, you'll probably observe that I rarely order chips at the side, or if they do come with chips, they get left on the plate. I do not understand how people can get so excited by the simple hot chip and then lather it in tomato sauce.
I have to be with you on that, Kate. I think I don't love them, but sweet potato chip, on the other hand.
Oh, now that is a chip.
So we agree on that. The other thing I learnt recently about you, Kate, is that you did studio arts at school.
So whilst my career and what I sort of studied at university was very science and maths based, I, at high school, also have a bit of a creative side and took a studio arts class, which I really, really enjoyed. And I really enjoyed picking up a paintbrush, painting up some sort of masterpiece, doing some pottery. We also, part of that was some photography as well, which was really cool to use the darkroom, which I guess brought in some of the science side of things there. Part of that was also learning about the history of art as well, which was, just fascinating, learning about the different art movements and the famous painters of those times and studying how different paintings and artworks are composed. It was really interesting.
And do you still do it?
I don't. I did during lockdowns order some paints and a canvas on the line.
And it came 3 months later.
Yeah, it did come a bit late. And then, started doing it and then got distracted with a few other projects. So that's sitting there to be completed.
That's okay. That's all right. And that's because you love being outdoors as well, don't you?
Yes. So whilst I do like painting and doing some arts and crafty things, I really love going out, particularly hanging out with my horse, Stella. Yeah, really passionate horse rider, very involved in our local riding club. I compete at events as well. Love anything with horses.
Love horses, outdoors. Anything else?
Yeah, outdoors. Don't mind a bit of gardening. Can grow a not too bad a veggie patch. Whenever I get a chance, going to the mountains or bushwalking, exploring new places. Love seeing new places and learning about the history, the culture, sampling the food.
So have you been travelling anywhere recently to be outdoors?
Yeah, so earlier this year I went with a good friend from high school. We went down to Tasmania. We actually spent a whole week down there, based out of Hobart. Got to learn about some of the history that's made Tasmania what it is, and also made sure we fitted in plenty of bushwalks because the scenery down there is absolutely stunning.
And how about Italy? How about when you went to Italy? Did you walk around there?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I work on an international project called Koala. And just before we got locked down, I got an opportunity to go overseas for the project meeting and took some time there to travel around. And we crammed so much into that. We did walking, ate a lot of food, heaps of art, walking tours. It was jam-packed.
Kate loves Italy, What's not to love? What's not to love? Good project. Kate, now this is one that is probably going to be pretty easy. I think you've probably already done karaoke. Would I be right, Kate?
Maybe once or twice.
And what would you like to sing?
So for any of my work colleagues who've been out in the car with me, they will they'll know what I like to sing. But I can pretty much, actually, I can belt out quite a few songs. Any pop song, pretty all over, and more recently can put a bit of a country twang on that. Don't mind a bit of country music, and there's one song in particular that yeah, I know all the words too. I can reach the highs, reach the lows.
Reach the twang.
Yeah. Bring the emotion into the song. And that's a Luke Combs song called Hurricane.
Perfect. I can't wait to see that at the Christmas party, Kate.
Oh, it's been out.
Maybe before then. What's your favourite radio station, Kate?
So back home, that was an easy question. Hits. It played all the pop songs. You got a little bit of the chit chat there. Covered everything. Since moving across here, Birchip, don't have so many options. And yeah, all cars now pretty much have Bluetooth connectivity. So the old radio station doesn't get much of a gig, but when your phone's flat and you need something to listen to whilst you're cruising around, a bit of Flow FM gets a bit of a go. There's Triple J also, but I've listened to that occasionally, and I think it's potentially when I tune in, but some of the music on there, I don't understand how people can listen to it.
Say no more, Kate. Say no more. I'm a very pop person myself. Kate, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah, well, I think, Janine, you need to change that to 2 meals because you just can't narrow it down to just 1.
10.
Meal number 1. No, I have a soft spot for lasagna. A good lasagna is absolutely amazing. And I don't mean to brag, but I make a pretty good non-traditional version, which involves some spinach, ricotta, and lentils. And it is amazing. So that was more a regular one, but there's also a very special dish to my family that would be something that I would, if I could, it would be the one. It's called pierogi, and it's a Latvian, Russian, probably slightly Polish dumpling dish that really gets all the family involved in terms of the making process, and then you all have a sit-down meal together in this broth and these dumplings, and it's just, delicious.
So, do you make it like at a special time during the year?
It's more of a wintertime dish, and we'll have everyone around the family together at the table, and we just spend an afternoon on a rainy day just pumping out these dumplings that would fill us up for dinner, and then we'll put them in the freezer for weekdays and weekends later down the track.
Fantastic. So. I can't wait to try one of these, Kate. Sounds like it might be a staff function, maybe. Could spread that around. Yeah. Kate, who's your favourite author?
Yes, I don't mind reading the odd book now and then. At the moment, my favourite authors are probably Jojo Moyles and Kate Morton. So they're a little bit different genres. Potentially have heard of Jojo Moyles. She's famous for the movies Me Before You. And she's done a whole heap of books relating to that one, but also completely separate stories as well. So I've read quite a few in her series there. And Kate Morton is kind of a romance but period writer that has a bit of like murder mystery in there as well. So I quite like reading about books that have to make you think and work out, who's the suspect, who killed what, but not with all the gory details.
I thought you were going to say not without the romance. Any others?
Yeah, so early this year I just finished off reading the Da Vinci Code, and at the moment also reading a book by Robert Hughes called The Fatal Shore. And this is a bit different to the other two. It's all about the transportation of convicts from England to Australia and how they set up their colonies in Australia.
So you'd mentioned a few books. Do you read them all at once? I know that probably sounds crazy to people that don't read a lot of books, but do you read them all at once, or have you got a few on the go?
I'd like to be able to read just one at a time, but at the moment, a little bit guilty there. I've got a couple on the go, just depending on what I'm feeling like at the time.
So you mentioned Me Before You. Are you a book or a movie?
I know I do read a few books, but I'm probably more a movie.
There you go. I'll allow it. How about nicknames, Kate?
Yeah, so there's not a lot you can do with Kate. I do get Katie occasionally, and before coming to BCG, I haven't really had the problem of needing to be different from other Kates. But at BCG, there was also another fellow employee called Kate, so I had to come up with a bit of a nickname there. So the people around me added an O to the end, so it became Kate-O, just sort of hanging around a little bit. And then, high school finger got a bit of a gig.
And is it Kate or is it Catherine?
Oh, it is definitely Kate with a K.
So you know exactly how to rile her up if you need to there by the sounds of it. Now, Kate, aside from necessities, what is the one thing you couldn't go a day without?
So my day feels incomplete unless I have a banana, and a banana specifically at breakfast.
I love bananas. I have bananas every day at breakfast too.
They're nutritious. They come in their own little packaging, so you can eat them on the go or put them with your breakfast cereal or in a smoothie. Just a versatile, delicious piece of fruit.
I think we could have our own podcast on why we love bananas so much, Kate. So who do you look up to?
I probably look up to the strong females in my life. So mum, she's done pretty amazing things, raising us kids, managing a farm, also juggling a career in the early days, and just how she's taken things on that farm and really driven that into the current times and even beyond a little bit with some of her forward thinking. And then before, my grandma was pretty amazing, what she did, what she had to endure as a young person, fleeing war in Russia in World War II, then coming out to Australia, having nothing, starting from scratch. I think she even adopted a young girl on the boat who didn't have any family. She sort of unofficially adopted her and helped her on her way in Australia, and they've remained lifelong friends. And just everything that she did coming from that war-torn place and then building up her life and working really hard in Australia and giving the opportunities to mum and then looking after us grandkids as well. It's pretty inspiring. So
do you think that main message, knowing you, Kate, I feel like the main message from your mum and I could be wrong, so please correct me, be a great person for a start, like that, be a really good person, do good things, but also that work ethic. Do you think that I know from seeing you, do you think that flows into your work here at BCG? That sort of evolved into one of your passions, do you think?
No doubt it's probably shaped who I am. I'm someone who definitely wants to, through the work that I do and what I'm trying to achieve, is definitely helping myself and the people around me be the best they can be, see everyone strive.
You know Kate, and hopefully you will know her a little better from this podcast. She really exudes that, more than happy to help, always trying to reach her best and trying to help other people to do that. So I didn't know that your grandmother fled Russia, so that really shows me a little bit more about you and why you are the person. So that's pretty cool. Thank you for sharing that. So I think that would probably, I was going to lead into my next question of superpowers, but I think maybe that might be one of your superpowers, Kate, is that you do really exude that happiness and that helpful attitude. But I better let you choose a superpower. What would yours be?
I probably wouldn't describe oozing happiness as a superpower.
Well, it's pretty special.
Thanks, Janine. But if I was to have a superpower, something that, and it's probably linked into my areas of interest and my hobby, I think it would be absolutely amazing to be able to understand and talk to animals.
I think that would be great. What do you think Stella would tell you?
Half the time I probably don't really want to know what Stella would be wanting to tell me, but I think it would be, there'll be so many situations to be like, oh, great to just have that conversation, understand how each other's feelings, flesh out what we want from each other, and then ride off into the sunset together.
It sounds to me like you already know what Stella's thinking. You don't need to read her mind.
Oh, well, I have invested a little bit of time more recently in natural horsemanship, and that's definitely opening my eyes and gaining that better understanding through reading their eyes and body language to have a bit more of an understanding of what they're thinking, but it's definitely not a perfect art.
That's the Pirelli.
Yes.
I really sound like I'm not a horse person, by the way. So, Kate, you said you didn't know what you wanted to be when you were at school. You're just looking at options before you chose ag. What about when you're a little bit younger, in primary school maybe? Was there something that you wanted to be then?
Yeah, really random career pathway, but I actually kind of always wanted to be a paleontologist. Random, I know, but I think it stems from the time when Mum and Dad would be doing cattle work in the yards, and in this particular yard area, people who'd previously owned our property must have had like a bit of a mass burial site for some of their sick animals, and they'd buried it under these trees. So whilst Mum and Dad were off doing cattle work, my brother and I would be under these trees pulling out all these different pieces of bone and then trying to construct animals from them. So I think that's where that stemmed, and then kind of may have got told that it would be a hard career path to pursue and probably not many job opportunities. So that's kind of where I left it. Crushed
the little girl, Kate.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, I did think that once. And then when that was kind of potentially not an option. Then archaeology also popped in there because I seem to have this fascination for digging up things and discovering the old stuff. But then, yeah, also when I worked, I had to probably study an arts degree at university. Yeah, I don't think that was for me.
Talking to someone that's done an arts degree. That's okay. I'll cop that one on the chin. Thanks, Kate. Was there anything else other than those two?
Just those two when I was younger. And then a few other things that were thrown into the mix there were like being a pharmacist or a radiologist, actually. So
there you go.
And pharmacist was, I guess, stems from wanting to help people be the best that they can be, try and fix things, fix them up.
As long as it's not arts, right?
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. I was going to say, I wonder, did you watch Friends? It would have been...
No, primary school was more Saddle Club.
Probably weren't allowed to, I would have thought. Because you probably would have been that age, I imagine. Well, Kate, thanks so much for coming on our podcast. It's been so much fun, actually. So we're really lucky to have you at BCG, and we hope our listeners have enjoyed it as well. If you want to learn more about Kate, visit our website, bcg.org.au. Follow her on Twitter. Her handle is @KTO, so KATEO _13, which is her birthday. We'll also put in the show notes a link to the climate outlooks that she discussed. Thanks very much for listening.